So now passing the word to Matthias. Hi, Matthias.
Now, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
Can I start directly? Yeah?
Yeah, the stage is yours, yes.
Perfect, thanks. So my name is Matthias Reinholz and I'm the founder of Qreuz. We are a startup from Berlin in the field of, active in the field of server-side tracking. And today I want to speak about the value of consent-free data in the age of cookieless tracking. I'm assuming you can see my slides, right? Yeah, I can see them there. All right. So first of all, let's speak about the question, what is even consent-free data? To be able to understand what we want to achieve here, we have to look at some terms that are pretty hot at the moment in the whole topic and the whole field of marketing and tracking and analytics. Yeah, so I'm pretty much sure that all of you in your companies will at the moment have some kind of project going on about a topic with the cookieless future. Yeah, we will have to do something with first-party data, server-side tracking, and server-side tag management. To understand what's behind, let's have a quick look at how conventional tracking used to work. Yeah, we have a user with a device going to a website. Then we have a second background connection to a tracking server, which then utilizes typically cookies to recognize the user's device. And the tracking server is aggregating information about the behavior of the user on this website and forwarding it to an ad network server, where then we have some kind of a brain, which magically is able to know when it should deliver ads targeted to the user to make it highly efficient. Now, by shifting to the first-party tracking setup, more or less on a very superficial perspective, this is the only thing that happens. We are migrating the tracking server from third-party to first-party. So now suddenly you as a company, as a website operator, you are owning your own tracking server, or at least you're owning some kind of server-side tag management solution that is responsible for collecting the data. But still, we have the primary responsibility of recognizing users on the side of the ad networks, because they have the big AI systems that are able to make sense of all this data. So you see there's still recognition involved. And when we look at how it's working with the first-party setups now, then we can obviously see that that cookies are not a topic anymore, because it's clear, I guess, for everybody that the cookie is set for death now. But there are other data points that we are looking at when we're trying to recognize users now, with, for example, the IP address, the user agent, device identifiers, or pretty common client IDs, visitor IDs, even just URL parameters such as the ad network click ID may help us here. And it's even possible to do it if you only have timestamps and URL paths that are available there. So ultimately, why am I talking about all of this? It's to make clear what actually is a difference between consent-free data and this whole topic of cookieless and compliant data. There's this, the 3C of that every performance marketer hates, 3 terms with a C in the beginning: cookieless, compliance, and consent. These are 3 things that are really not making it easier for performance marketers in the past years. But what is very important to understand that each of those 3 C's does not necessarily mean that you're now doing the other one. Yeah. So for example, you can be cookieless, but you can be not compliant. You can also get consent from your visitors, for example, but you can also be not compliant. Just think about the latest discussions about data transfer to the US. So you have to think about all these 3 in the end when you think about your tracking strategy and how you're actually collecting the data for your in your new first-party server-side setup. When we even compare the old world of cookie-based recognition with the new world of fingerprinting-based recognition, we can see that previously it used to be visible to the visitor of your website what's going on, because they saw that there was a cookie involved. They were able to block it with, for example, a browser plugin with an ad blocker or some other privacy plugin. And they were even able to reset the whole tracking stuff by simply deleting historical cookies. With the new methods, it's impossible anymore now. Yeah? So because the tracking gets invisible to the user, and it's very hard to block this type of tracking if you are not very technical. Yeah. So I leave it up to you to make a decision which of both types of recognizing users is actually more privacy friendly. But now let's talk about what actually is now consent-free data in this context. We have to say that there is no standard definition of consent-free data from a legal perspective. So I also want to don't want to speak too much about the legal side of this today. I want to speak about how we at Qreuz are solving this from a technical perspective. What we do is we are simply modifying this whole schema a little bit by completely excluding any interest in recognizing users. So it also means we do not have the possibility with this data anymore to feed the ad networks with any kind of data that would help them to target their ads. And then we are also moving this brain that helps you to target your ads from the ad network to your own first-party tracking, or then whatever it is, another server's installation that you need in your own system. Ultimately, when we look at this, we have to say that consent-free data is actually worse than the normal data. Yeah, because consent-free data means there is no visitor recognition, there is no profile aggregation, and you cannot do retargeting anymore. But what you're looking at is statistical data, technical data, and anonymous data. And the word anonymous here is in brackets because every lawyer will get big eyes when marketers speak about anonymous data. Still, I can say that at Qreuz, our ambition is not to find a creative workaround for data privacy, but what we want to do is really, we want to make it impossible for anybody, including yourself, and also then the third-party ad network providers, to do any kind of recognition with this data. So you heard now a lot about why the consent-free data is bad. Why is it still worth to look at it? When you look at the topic of capturing the interactivity of your website, then at the moment, you're only looking at a small fraction of it, because there's only a small number of people who actually do the opt-in. Depending on your niche and your industry, this number may be 50 or 60% of actual visitors really saying, yes, please track me. You're losing data because people don't say, yes, please track me. You're losing data because people use ad blockers or privacy plugins. And you also typically in analytics don't look at data that is generated by bots, because the typical analytics is only looking at the interaction of real humans and leaves the bot traffic completely out of it. With our approach to consent-free data, we really want to capture the full holistic picture of your complete website's activity and make sense of it. And that's actually then what we do at Qreuz. Yeah? We are helping you to access the consent-free data. We are adding some kind of brain to it to make it possible for you to make sense out of this data. And that's our service in short. What are some applications now of this consent-free data? The most popular one is obviously the good old analytics. And here, if you have the complete data compared to only to opt-in data, it gives you the possibility to build much more detailed AI models that help you to understand where your traffic is actually coming from. And especially the whole organic traffic acquisition sources profit a lot from this new data, because typically what we've seen in our data is that visitors coming from paid channels tend to opt in much more than people coming from organic channels. So that means there's always a bias in organic traffic to be not really present in your current analytics. Another very interesting use case is the topic of ad buying, because of course there is no connection to the ad networks anymore. You don't forward any data that would help them to optimize their models at least from the consent-free data that you're capturing. But I'm getting to the end, no worries. But what you're able to do is you're able to build your own brain, your own AI model, to then use the information you have in your own systems to modify these ads and the budgeting, for example. The good thing is, last thing here, most of you will already have some kind of consent-free data in your systems, in your current setup. From our sales, we know that once companies have more than 5 employees in BI, typically they already have some kind of system tracking this consent-free data, but then it's all about connecting it to the marketing and making it available for analytics. And then, because I was asked, I'm going to finish this now. That's it. That's me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you. Reach out to me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Great time management. Thank you for this presentation. I liked very much because we are facing the cookie depreciation and the data depreciation, right? Let me try to understand your concept of consent-free data. Is there any relation to consent data, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Are you extrapolating what you have learned from the consent data into the consent-free data? Am I right to saying that?
Correct. So I actually skipped that part right now here, but what is very important that consent-free data does not try to replace your existing tracking setups. Yeah, it cannot, because we heard it's worse. Yeah, it doesn't give you as much as information, especially later in the funnel, about existing customers and about people who have opted in. But consent-free data is a great complementary source of data that you can use then to enrich your existing analytics stack with further information, with further insights.
Okay. And what about, I fully agree with you that there is a shifting process going on from browser tracking to server-based tracking, right? One of the main challenges we're facing in the industry is server-to-server connectivity, right? To connect your own server with advertising and marketing platforms. Yeah. Do you see it in a similar way? How is the whole industry progressing when it comes to server-to-server connectivity?
I definitely see a problem here, because maybe the biggest problem is that there is nothing like a standard, and every ad network, every tracking company is doing their own stuff, and they always tend to update their protocols very often. I can just say the latest example here from the market leader, Google Analytics, with now forcing everybody to migrate to GA4. It's still in beta, and it's still giving a big headache to many marketers right now. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your great presentation and for your time.
Thank you.
Ciao. Bye.